Hello, everyone. This is another episode 39, United World of Sports. It's Dante Suave. Obviously I'm here with Mr. J. What's going
What's
on?
going on? What's going on, man? As you can
So,
see, I'm wearing, I have to wear it for today just to offer support to my guy because damn,
you
that sucks, man. It,
you
it, it
better
never
wear it.
fails.
Brian Kelly will come and have a conversation with you. You don't want him to have a conversation with you.
Brian Kelly can do no you know what when you know where and you know why. I I wish he would come. I will Marty Gilliard his ass so quick.
That was in reference to how he reacted to that. I mean, he had a point though. He had a point
He had a
though.
point, but his points with me have been slim, few and far between for a while. I
Yeah.
don't. That's
But
one of
yeah,
them people. One of them people that if you see him on the side of the street and they on fire, nothing could quench that fire from me. Just be like, oh, he's on fire. Oh, damn.
wow, that's wow. Wow. Okay. Uh but that being said, let's talk about I
I
told
called
you
it.
I told you earlier. I told you earlier, and kudos to you because I did have some questions. Mostly because if I don't know much about a fighter, I'm gonna have some historically, statistically realistic questions. So, and you answered them for me the other day, but I noticed some things. You give me your take. First of all, I will say Netflix, that's boxing. The entire card, that's boxing. There
I
was
will give
not
you that one.
there was not one fight that I watched, although I didn't watch it live, so apparently I missed the undercard. Uh, Everything that I saw on the main card leading up to the Canelo uh fight, Crawford fight, that's boxing. That's what's supposed to be like. Somebody needs to get the memo out to the Paul brothers. If you're
Mhm.
going to have, if you're going to do something, do it correctly. Be in the ballpark at least. Obviously, I've watched boxing. It's been a while since I watched it religiously, but I know that there are some fighters that think that they are more than they are. There are some boxers that maybe they starting out, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. Maybe they can't because maybe they got a job and they trying to be a boxer. So it don't exactly look disciplined and crisp during the fight. Whatever. Bottom line, this that the whole entire part of the card that I saw, because ironically I ended up watching so much college basketball. I had my big screen TV on. Nothing was on it. I kept looking at it like I got a feeling I'm supposed to have something on this TV, but I was trying to get editing done, and I had both phones with different football games on, and so yeah, but yeah, um uh what's his name? Oh man, I'm about to butcher it. Uh the other Crawford fight at the beginning of the card, at the beginning of the
Oh
main
yeah,
card.
yeah. I know what you're talking about. That one was
Uh
a brawl. They
Crawford was all right, but I feel like I want to know like exactly what preparation went into the guy that he fought because he was the taller of the two. He had the reach, and he used every bit of it.
mm-hmm.
He used every bit of it. Uh,
It was
uh,
he was and Dak Crawford was used. He sparred against Bud to get him ready for the fight. But it was Mphil. I think his name was Mphil. That was excuse me.
the one that he fought, I think his name is. Alakel or Alafel,
It was
Alakel.
Ekill or something. It was one of
Alakel. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Alakel.
Alakel. And that dude, he was I would love to know who prepped him for that fight because he looked like he was ready to be a professional. The obviously, he was ready to be on the professional level. It just I liked everything I saw. But uh
It was he fought. He's an up and comer, and the only thing that I would say about him was that he took a lot of punishment he did not need to take
true.
because he was in there and he was taking some shots, and he would drop his head, and he does something that I don't like. He drops his head and he lifts up when he does it, and when he does, he leaves himself open for any type of cross that comes across in there. And Crawford was catching him. The only problem
Yeah.
was that his neck, and one of the biggest things that I always tell people that watch boxing is that you need to watch, if you're watching the lead up for fights or anything else like that, look at how they work on their necks, because he was taking punches, his neck was not his head was not moving, his neck was stiffening up, he was just absorbing it. It was acting like it was a shock absorber for everything for it.
Right.
And it made you question, like, is Crawford really hitting him hard, or is dude just still from that area down, because it wasn't moving him. And that's what the not seeing that reflex or that reaction for those punches lessens the emphasis on those punches for those judges when they're looking at that, like, he's not moving too much from his punch. Is he just tapping them? What's going on? But when he was punching them, you could see him flailing back. So
Right.
it was he did good on that one. The fight, the Walsh and Vargas Jr. fight, I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna lie to you, it put me to sleep. I was sitting there and I was like, Walsh need to just knock this dude out. He playing around with him. Vargas looked like he wanted it, but somebody told him just get the check and go home and just make a good showing
It
for it.
wasn't his daddy.
It wasn't his daddy. Somebody else told him, because it damn sure wasn't his daddy. And his daddy looked like he was pissed at the after the fight too
Well,
with it,
yeah.
because he was like, I wasted my time with that. And that, I don't think that they said it was a good tune up for Walsh. I don't think it was a good tune up for Walsh, because Walsh hasn't shown me anything that makes him stand out in that group that's coming up on the back end there. And if he keeps on fighting and he runs into a secure Stevenson or even a Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney in that realm of it, he's not looking like he would last in that. He's starting to fall into that secondary tier that he could loop around and fight them all, get the paydays, and then go away.
Yeah. So, uh, now what did you observe from the main event? Because I observed some things like as soon as the fight started that kind of led me to understand what led to the loss. But what did you see?
I saw finally someone taking wanting the title to be the best pound for pound fighter versus somebody that had been given it.
Uh-huh.
And realistically, I've never been a believer in Canelo being the number one pound for pound fighter. I
Okay.
never have, because
Okay.
the simple fact of the quality of boxers that he fought against was never those people in their heyday, except for Floyd and Bivol, the two that beat him. Those two were in their heyday. Everybody else was on the back end of it, or
Okay.
on the back end of it. So it was like, okay, how much? Yeah, everybody always want to throw out there, well, he's fought almost 70 fights and he's 65 2-2. Okay, but a lot of those fights was filler. He's been getting the big bucks because he was a Mexican draw that you could put on a Mexican Independence Day and on Cinco de Mayo and get a full box office draw. Everybody has to remember when that fight started, when you first turned on that fight, who was they cheering for?
Canelo.
And that crowd was primarily
Hispanic.
Hispanic in Las Vegas, and he's going against an American. And when he came out, Crawford started proving stuff to me years ago when he said, "You know what? If this is my last run of it, I'm going after people. I'm going after people. I want to fight who's the top ones in here. I want to wipe them clean. I want to be undisputed." And when he started tearing through the welterweight division, I'm like, okay. And the craziest part about the whole thing on the after card when Antonio Tarver was interviewing him, he said Bill Haney was the one that told him to go after Canelo. And he was because he was trying to get Spence. Spence was playing that game. Like, I don't know if I want to do it. So he's like, forget Spence, go after Canelo. You're good enough to go after Canelo. And he was like, nah, man, he's bigger than me. Nah. And then he started watching the tape. Bud's always been a student of the game. So when he started watching the tape and started seeing stuff, he's like, oh no, I can take him. And he's had that belief that he could take him for years. But the problem with Bud is he didn't have Tank's backing. He didn't have Spence's backing. He didn't have Haney's backing. He didn't have Garcia's backing. Bud's been on his own and been taking them out. So when Spence gave him that opportunity, when Spence finally caved in, because Spence knew in order for me to be able to be known as the best, I got to fight him. And he basically toyed with Spence the way that he did. I was like, there's nobody that's going to touch him. The only person to me that I would think that would give him some type of possible competition would be if Floyd took it seriously and came out of retirement. Because and Floyd's not going to do that because Floyd don't want that blemish.
That and there's something else, but we'll go ahead and finish.
But that fight was surgical. That entire fight was surgical. He took everything that Canelo was known for and what he could do. And I'm sorry, you know me, I always go after what I don't like when it comes to things. For everything I loved about the Netflix broadcast, take Andre Ward out of the picture. Them other two was just Canelo blowhards. Every time they turned around, he's doing what he can, but as soon as Canelo really punches him real good with one, then we're going to see if that weight gain is going to be in there. Newsflash, Max Kellerman. And I can see why Stephen A. kind of wanted you off the show now. You don't do your research. Bud Crawford naturally walks around at 170 to 175 pounds. He's naturally a super middleweight. He goes down in order to fight in welterweight. He loses the weight in order to do that. That's why he's always stronger than the fighters that he normally fights against, because he's more lean, more muscle mass, smaller. And when he rehydrates, he's back up to there. So when he did the interview with Kellerman, and Kellerman was like, well, normally the bigger fighter, people don't, the smaller fighter doesn't win. And he started tearing into him. He's like, so how many people do you know that was a smaller fighter that went up in weight class and became champion? And started naming Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran. He started going tearing through everything. Roy Jones Jr. started tearing through everybody that moves up in weight. You don't see too many people move down in weight in order to win championships. So he's like, why would you even think that I wouldn't be able to do it? Why would you sit there and do that? And he put that bug in his ear because he knew when he said that was like, dude don't know naturally this is what I walk around at. So when he came out there and he started fighting him, and Crawford, and Canelo hit him with them punches that they were sitting up there saying, oh, that's going to knock him back. And he took them, he sat there and ate them punches and looked at him and was like, And and they came back with a 4-piece. Boom, 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 boom. Canelo's not as fast as him. Canelo, and even Canelo sat there and said in the post game, he underestimated how Crawford was.
Uh-huh.
Because it's a difference from watching the film. Watching the film and not studying it is just like watching a movie. If you don't understand what you're seeing in it and you can't translate it into the ring, you're never going to win. And Canelo never translated it. So every time, that whole fight, except for 2 rounds, he was sitting there toying with him. And you saw at the end of the fight, he could have taken Canelo out. And if he would have taken Canelo out, it would have been a mess. Because that would have embarrassed a whole bunch of people. But I think that he just wanted to show that he could whoop Canelo's ass. Not knock him out. He knocked out Spence. He knocked out Spence. There was less vitriol towards Canelo than it was towards Spence. He wanted to beat Spence and knock him out because Spence had been ducking him. Spence had been talking smack behind the back of it and had been talking real reckless leading up to that fight for it. That's where that side of Bud came out and said, you know what? I'm about to put you down. This one, he wanted to show I can outbox who y'all say is the pound for pound fighter. And I knew this 2 years ago that I could do this. I knew this 3 years ago I could do this. But y'all never believed that I could do it. Y'all never put me in this class for it. Now what you gonna say when it wasn't even a small margin of victory, really, that I tore him apart with? And as soon as he did it, as I'm sitting there counting the rounds in there, I gave Canelo round 5,
Uh-huh.
and I think round 8. Other than that, it was all Crawford. And
Yeah.
5 and 8 was just where 5 and 8 was the ones where Canelo came out and really was. Those were the rounds that Crawford took off the rest. Because the next round he would run, he jogging right out to the ding, beep, 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 and then back up and then start controlling the fight.
Yeah. So initially watching the fight, I noticed some things. I had a feeling that Canelo was gonna lose when I noticed that Crawford, usually people that box flat footed and they're going against somebody that like stays on their toes and they hopping around.
Mm-hmm.
Usually those fighters, usually the flat footed fighters, at least from what I've watched, they end up losing a lot of fights. So that kind of had me kind of like scratching. That had me kind of like paying attention. The other thing I noticed was um, Crawford was excellent with keeping the exact spacing that he needed.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he got tired, then he would let himself get up against the ropes, and then even then he was very good at like the grappling, which I usually don't like the grappling, but if you keep it to a minimum, I'll let it go.
He was good.
Um,
He was good at it to where he would get his rest. He was still counter punching and avoiding it, and then he could
yeah,
grapple to escape. He wasn't grappling to hold
gra-
to slow down the
grapple
clock
to escape, or he would try to like
or to
uh, there
change position.
there was a couple times where they would kind of grasp and then they would the ref would actually have to intercede because they would just like, okay, we grasping, all right, you punching me, I'm punching you, we'll just stand here and punch each other if the ref
Mm-hmm.
lets us, which the ref didn't let them do a lot of it. It's but yeah, I noticed he was very good with his spacing. He made Crawford be he made Canelo be the aggressor. And to me, that's why a fight between Crawford and Mayweather wouldn't work, because kind of like the main reason Mayweather, in my opinion, beat Pacquiao was because somebody had to be the aggressor.
Mm-hmm.
And they both do well with their spacing basically playing keep away. So if Pacquiao had fought the fight that he's most successful at, and Mayweather had fought the fight that he was obviously more most successful at, technically people would have been pissed and been demanding that they money been stripped from them because they wouldn't have hardly touched each other. So
Mm-mm.
somebody would have had to be the aggressor. And seeing that he had just lost his rematch fight 4 to
Marquez.
Manuel Marquez, because he was being aggressive and he got caught, and and so it wasn't a shock to me. As soon as I started watching the fight, I'm like, he about to lose. It's like and it's like, okay, that's not his fight. Every fight that I saw him and he's successful, him and Mayweather fight the same kind of fight. They counter, they counter more than anything, and they're very
Yep.
good at they're very good at that. They will literally pick you apart. So, and then the whole lunging for punches, and he didn't look him in the eyes. I don't I got to go back and look, but I know start the round starting out, he was looking at Crawford. He was looking at Crawford's body. Crawford was always looking him in the eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay. And the whole lunging for punches thing, whether whether he was trying to punch him straight in the body, or he was hooking him and he was lunging his punches out to go to the body, and he kept getting caught with counters. It was just watching that over and over and over. He didn't adapt.
But that's been Canelo for the last 6 fights.
And 9 times out of 10, if nobody was if the opponent if the caliber opponents that he was fighting wasn't catching him to make him realize that he had to change that, I can understand how you get complacent, and you understand, and you feel like, oh, I wore everybody else down, I'm gonna wear him down. So that's probably something else that played a part in it. Like you said, he admitted that he underestimated him. You're not supposed to underestimate anybody. That's one of the biggest
Right.
reasons that people lose. You don't underestimate your opponent. I don't care what the reasoning is. If he is an opponent, you treat him like he is one, and you go in with the intent of, you'll be lucky if you make it out of the first round, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm gonna make sure that I use my proper technique, and I'm gonna make sure that I use enough caution to make sure my chin don't get checked. But at the same time, I'm coming in. That's why I could kind of, even though it don't sound good, I always understood the way Mike, like the way he talked about what he wanted to
Yeah.
do to people. That's the equivalent of my competitiveness. And it just, but you hear it coming from Mike, it's like, dude, what's wrong with you? You crazy. And
It's not crazy. It's not crazy. But you asked me this question in the post that you sent about Floyd. Did Floyd ruin boxing? And I told you the promoters ruin boxing. The reason why I said that ties into this subject. Canelo and Crawford said it also. When Canelo fought Charlo and he fought I forgot who else he fought right before then. He said he fought dudes that saw that it was Canelo on those main 2 dates that they knew was going to be a massive pay-per-view draw, and they were happy to get the check. He wasn't happy with the check. He wanted the head on his wall. The check was separate because if you look at the breakdown, Canelo got paid $150 million for that fight. Bud got paid 50. So 3/4 of the purse went to the person that lost. If that was the case, now and Bud didn't want Bud didn't was not worried about the money. When he went to Riyadh season and asked him to put it to help him put it together, because when he first went to Canelo said that he couldn't get the money up in order to do it. He went over to the Saudis. And the Saudis like, yeah, we'll put up the money for it. And they put up the money. He was like, give him most of it. He didn't want the money. He wanted the head. And when you look at it, that's where the problem lies. Too many people want the money. They don't want the heads. That's what Tank is making that mistake with right now. He wants the money from the Jake Paul fight. He don't want the heads. If anything, when Spence took the risk to fight Crawford, and that's the other thing, a lot of people fail to realize Spence was Crawford's last fight. Crawford hasn't fought in 2 years before that fight. You wouldn't have known that Crawford hadn't fought in 2 years. Spence took that fight because after a while, who was left that you needed to beat? You needed Crawford. You needed to beat Crawford. These were the same arguments that we were having when it was Mayweather, Pacquiao, Thurman, to a lesser extent Broner. During that era of it, where you had those fighters that was in there, where you wanted to know who would win against each other for it, and all of them was ducking and dodging each other. Now the headhunters is Shakur Stevenson, and he has to work his way up. And Crawford was like, no, that's what I want. And he got what he wanted, and he did what he said he was going to do. He sat there and told him, he said it didn't matter. And the things that you seen after the fight, he gave Canelo back all the belts. He handed them to him at the press conference. He know he gonna get his. He was like, you can take these back with you. He gave you give the person, you go through everything. You get to that point to where this fight was not about the money. It wasn't about the largest gate or the largest crowd at Allegiant Stadium. This was about somebody that legitimately wanted to sit there and say, I'm going to show the entire world for free, if they had Netflix, for free, I'm the best boxer in the world right now, bar none. I don't care about nothing else. And now, like Tarver asked him, he said, are you done? He said, I'm going to talk to my team and I'm going to see what I want to do. Because now he has nothing left to prove. There's no one left. He does not. The only fights that make sense right now would be if somehow, some way, Tank comes up, which Tank ain't going to do that, because he would kill Tank. And Mayweather. That's it. There's nobody else. And it's crazy because it's like, for all this time we've been saying who's going to rise to the cream of the top. And Inoki, but Inoki would have to jump up weight classes in order to fight him. That would be the fight I would want to see. I would want to see Inoki versus Crawford. That would be the complete super fight, because they both are technical fighters. And they're surgical with how they do things. But Inoki hasn't gotten enough views here in America to make it to where it would be a plausible, very like mega match type of style with it. He would have to fight some tune-ups over in American soil or in Saudi Arabia, and build up that viewership with it. Because a lot of times some people hear that name, they're like, who?
Right.
But it's like it's crazy. So I was proud. I woke up I know I woke up in the missus because she was asleep. She was asleep, but she was trying to walk in and out of it. I was sitting there. I was proud because I wanted him to win, but I wanted him to show them the person that I've been watching fighting for the past 10 years or so, get looked over all the time. Be that underdog that nobody considered. How you gonna come in as the underdog and you the one that asked for the fight?
Because until you take down the one that is named the pound for pound, even if you ask for the fight,
Mm-hmm.
You are the underdog because even if people know of your skill, okay. So I when I was watching HBO and watching boxing, I will say that Max Kellerman misstepped, but I feel like he misstepped because even you said it. How many people in history have moved down to become champion? And even if I tried to think about it, even if I tried to say I'm gonna research it right now, I wouldn't be expecting to find any names,
Mm-mm.
especially that became champion.
Right.
So I can see where he may have verbally misstepped because as much of a guru as he is, which that whole situation with him and Stephen A, I had a problem with because I'd always known him to be in boxing. I had never seen him outside the realm of boxing. So when I saw him on ESPN, I'm like, whose idea was this? Um, but he did kind of hold his own. But the problem was, I feel like another one of the problems with that situation was at the end of the day, whoever's gonna be on there, you gotta be Skip or damn near. And Max
Mm-hmm.
Kellerman wasn't never gonna be
Nowhere
there.
near. Nowhere near.
So that for me was the problem. Like when JJ Redick was on there. JJ Redick he had Stephen A had moments and other people had moments where they got up under his skin with the flim flam that they was flinging and and that they was saying and he did not hesitate to just annihilate them.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that more than anything because there was a couple of times I watched and some of the stuff that he said and Steven would quote unquote have a problem with it and it's like uh, okay uh, I get your point Steven but I think you put too much energy into into it without actually listening to what he said because even some people that reacted to it would like bring up some of the instances where it was like where Stephen A went in and it's like feel like you went in without completely understanding how deep he was going with it. But but bottom line, just from a match of going back and forth like on a skip level, that was the reason Max Kellerman should have never been over there. So
No. And
um
to call a spade, Stephen A said Canelo was gonna kick Crawford's butt too. And he had to eat crow. I did not see him on first take today. I want to go back and see how much crow did he actually eat, or did he try to spin doctor it like he like
I didn't watch the whole thing, so
I want
I'm not sure.
to see what he said because he was there front row center and Crawford
Oh yeah,
looked
yeah,
dead at his direction afterwards. It was like because he said
yeah,
and I'm like I don't like I don't like pundits that let's call a spade a spade. We are a part of the media. I don't like the fake media, the sensational media. I don't like it at all.
yeah,
And a lot of the sensational media was going with the shiny toy that's already been there instead of the beat up, dependable toy that was over in the corner for it. And they all was doing, Canelo's going to do this. Canelo's this. And I'm like, have y'all not watched any of the fights lately at
yeah.
all?
And that's why
Nothing.
and that as I've gotten older, that's one of the main reasons why if I don't know and I know somebody that know, then I'm gonna listen to you more than
Right.
anything. Just like when we did the baseball thing. I feel I got extremely lucky, and I would although my competitive side was kind of mad that my home run derby winner didn't uh, 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 fell apart in the second round because I was the competitive side of me was kind of feeling myself like look at me. Like I ain't watched baseball in years. I'm picking winners.
Mhm.
He ended up being the runner up, but still,
But
it's like, damn, that was pretty good. Um, but yeah, that's why I like to see. I like to know, get information. I want to talk to people. I
yeah,
want to interact. Like let me know so I can like base my decision on even if my decision is based upon you giving me word of mouth. That's why I really, if anybody had asked me, and even if I would have picked Canelo, it wouldn't have been because I actually believed that he would win. Because to be honest, I haven't watched a lot of his fights. I watched. I may have watched the Mayweather Canelo fight. I don't remember, but yeah, I haven't watched a lot of his fights, and I know. I heard I heard about Crawford, but I know for a fact I watched zero of his fights. So to be able to say that I know who's gonna win in the fight, no, I can't make that basis. And a lot of these pundits, they like to go on, they like to feed off of the masses. They like to feed off of the masses to some extent, I'm sure. But it's clear, it was clear from me watching the fight that it's like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't make no pick because the way he came out, I'm like, I would have been pissed as soon as the fight started. Like as
hmm
soon as the fight started, and I say, I'm like, the hell? I, you know, and the other thing that's coming out, and we'll move on because I know you said you couldn't be on long. Which sparked the question. Matter of fact, they asked the question. Speaking of first take, they asked the question they asked that same question on first take today. When are and they might have did it because they asked it. They asked it on the Netflix show. I believe it was Tarver. Matter of fact, I believe you brought it up. Uh, when are you gonna stop? When are we gonna stop being worried about the flashy person with the mouth that may have the entertainment side, but maybe they not as good? And I have been a proponent of that. When it comes to the Pistons, Isaiah has never been my favorite. It's always been Joe. It will always be Joe. Um, Isaiah, matter of fact, Isaiah out of all the players that was on the team, other than Lambert, like I was all about Dumars, Vinny Johnson, Rodman, uh, Adrian Dantley.
McGuire.
Yeah. Mark Aguirre was pretty good too, but I just my main guy uh was Joe,
Yeah.
and he was the quiet one. And to be honest, it's still funny to hear that at least according to John Sally was another one I liked. Um, according to John Sally, and I think Larry Bird might have said it too. The only Piston on the entire team that nobody had a problem with was Joe Dumars.
So Dumars. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. I believe that completely. Because Joe is just that he has that demeanor. And it's always the quiet ones. It's the ones that don't the old saying that that the elders have always said is the loudest in the room is normally the weakest. That's what you see in boxing. A lot of the ones that did the whole era after Mayweather was who could talk the loudest. And we're seeing that still. You got YouTubers that can talk a good game now headlining in WWE and headlining in boxing. And because they can do this and they have the social cachet that's into it, that draws the viewers, that draws the money, you got fighters legitimately taking a chance to go fight and lose against somebody that's not actually one of them because of this.
Yeah.
And that's what disrespects the art. That's what disrespects the game. The art of boxing. We have to think about it from this standpoint. When we were younger, and folks, we're gonna date ourselves with this, but when we were younger, when WrestleMania was Mr. T and Hulk Hogan against Mr. Wonderful and Andre the Giant, and back then in those time frames, it was because it was a crossover, but we knew that it was we kind of knew it was kind of an act. We knew that.
Yeah.
But you heard about the Inokis versus Muhammad Ali fights, the gimmick fights that they used to have. You heard about the special, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bruce Lee. You heard about those things. So
Right.
when you hear those, it's like, what do you do? So now, instead of that being the one-offs to where people wanted to see it, those are the mainstays. Them people are not trying. These people now, they could care less if they was the undisputed. They care about how much money they gonna have in the bank when their brains is scrambled and they can't even figure out how to tie their shoe. And I'm like, if that's what it's about, stop fighting for belts. Make your own league to where y'all fighting for the gimmicks. Make your own make a boxing version of WWE and let it ride. Get out of the way because there's too many kids. It's too many kids that's down in at the Finley Street neighborhood, at the neighborhood house, or over boxing with Rasheed Warren and his camp and things like that, that want to have that title around their waist, that want to go to the Olympics and go get that medal in that, and want to sit up there and be in that stature that y'all holding up the farm for because y'all only worried about your greed.
Yeah. Um, I got some other questions. I'm gonna write them down and save them for next week. But for
Okay.
now, let's jump into the college ranks.
Man. Woo.
Uh, there was a lot of blowout games this weekend. Um,
We not count UC as a blowout. We count UC as a reprimand against their head coach for trying to fake like he has a really, really good team against a really, really mediocre team, knowing good and well that
what-
that's going to just balance out his point margin by the end of the
well,
season.
well, I mean, uh, we could say that about a lot of the teams that played this weekend, including my Michigan Wolverines. They, Texas Tech versus Oregon State. That one was
Oh,
another
that
one.
that that was just bad.
Utah versus Wyoming, and I actually fell asleep on that one. I fell asleep on Texas Tech and Oregon State. That was one of the ones that caused me to forget about the Canelo fight until the next day. I'm driving and I'm scrolling, and I just happened to be stopped somewhere scrolling through Facebook, and I see Terrence Crawford, the undisputed. I'm like, damn it, that's what I needed to have on my TV last night. And so it was cool when you said that we was gonna be talking about it because it gave me I took the day off and that gave me I watched
Chance
it
to go
like
back and watch it.
repeatedly. I kept watching it and then I would rewind it back. If I walked out of the room, would rewind it back to make sure I didn't miss anything, just to make sure that I caught what was going on. There was a few times that Canelo tried to turn it on, but the problem was the way he was trying to turn it on. And another thing that confused me about him and him being a champion, if you fighting people that let you get away with not coming in with a jab, dude, if you which was I'm like, what are you doing coming in without a jab? And like you were saying, they actually made that Max Kellerman actually talked about that, but he made it seem like it was a kind of a good thing, and I'm just listening like, no, no. Usually when you come in, especially with somebody of some caliber, the jab is supposed to be a part of your it's supposed to be a part of your repertoire, part of your way of beating them. And I
Look at
feel
him,
like
Jim. Look at him, Jim. He doesn't even need his jab in order to get in there. Look at him. He's working his way inside of there. Oh, here comes Crawford with a 4 piece of the biscuit.
Yep. And that was another thing. Crawford was coming. He came with more combos, way more combos
He
than
left.
Canelo.
If you rewatch that fight, and I know we was shifted to college football, came back to it. If you
Right.
rewatch that fight, there was times, and I was talking to my son when he was asking me about it because they fell asleep, they didn't see it. I said there was times where he hit him with a four piece, and then just left the biscuit just hanging to the side, thinking like I don't want to hit him with it yet. Just let's just reset and go back because he knew if he was came in. Crawford has one of the sneakiest quick uppercuts that you will ever see, and he never threw it after one of them four pieces. That's why I said it became surgical because he knew he could have sat there when by the time it got to the end of the fight and he was hitting Canelo with them four pieces, and Canelo would step back and shake his head like I don't know what to do. That's when you knew it was over. He defeated Canelo mentally to the point to where he could have dropped Canelo anytime after round 9, and he didn't do it. And if you watch after there, every time he hit him with that combo, whatever was the lead punch that he started that combo with, at the end of that combo, that hand was down to his side, like he was about to come in and throw the uppercut on the back end of it, and he never threw it. It was it. I was sitting there. I was like, he playing with him now, and that's where it was like folks, go back. It's free on Netflix. Go back and watch it. Just go
Yeah.
back and watch it and listen to what we're saying on these things. Because if you rewatch that fight, Canelo, by the time it got to the ninth and 10th round, Canelo would take a couple punches and then he would walk off and he'd be like, I don't know what to do. I can't do nothing. He's not bowing to my power. I'm not faster than him. I'm just boom,
He,
boom, boom,
he,
boom.
he- he's not bowing to the power. Every time he leaned in head first, he got caught more times than he could think of. And that's why I said I don't understand where was his ability, and it has to partially be due to the opponents that he was fighting. It became
Yeah.
so easy that he kind of took away from it. You to some extent you become complacent, and I know that that sounds disrespectful, but I mean that's
Yeah.
basically what it is.
But it's the truth. So
And
the question becomes now, I doubt either one of them fights the rest of this year. Do they run it back at Cinco de Mayo? Do they run it back at Cinco de Mayo? If I'm Crawford, if I'm Crawford, I wouldn't do it. But if the money flipped, take them to Mexico and do it in Mexico. Not
but
and then don't hold back.
but if they do decide to do it for Cinco de Mayo, what I suggest to Canelo is number one,
You
watch
need a
not
whole new
only
training team.
watch, he better spend a lot of time training on his cardio, training on his footwork, um uh training on the skills, and he better not only watch this fight multiple times, he better watch every fight, whether he won or lost. He better watch every one, look for every mistake that he made, everything he did right, and he better try to incorporate that into his practice if he wants to have any type of chance. Because he cannot come in flat footed. I,
No, he's gonna have to
you
move.
can't come in flat-footed. You can't be reaching with your shots, even if they are to the body. It doesn't matter. And also your tempo has to be raised up. It's like and for Christ's sake, incorporate the jab. It when he was hitting him with jabs, he was doing pretty good. The problem was he wasn't hardly doing it, let alone combos, for Christ's sake. Combos. Throw combos. He hit you with combos, you hit him back with combos. And yeah, no, that just so I wouldn't suggest based upon that fact, I wouldn't suggest that they run it back
I don't think they
because
are.
because I don't I question if like energy wise, if work mentality wise, if Canelo, like where's his head at this point? You done fought almost 70 fights. That's a lot of damn fights.
He was talking about he's ready to go golf. That's the other thing. Too much, too much to me was writing on the wall. I'm sorry. I don't care. My pride is more important than any check. I'm not gonna sit there 150 million. If that's my last fight, I'm going out on my sword and on my shield than going out lesser than what I had shown in the past. If you wanted to take that 150 million and go off and retire, cool. At least put forth some type of effort while you did it. That's not a retirement fight that I would want to see. But if Bud
Right.
retires, if Bud does the good old Super Bowl, I didn't won the championship, I'm out. So
He
be
could
it.
have. I mean, there's nobody left for him to fight,
Right,
so he could have.
right. That he Bud right now has his quintessential Jay-Z, what more can I say moment right now? What more can I he can play that as he's walking out with his belt and just sit there and say, there's nothing more I can do. But for Canelo, nah. All right. I know when we were talking about what we were going to talk about today, I knew what the other game was that for college football, because in the midst of everything that was going on, I know and I owe my family an apology because I'm supposed to have been down in North Carolina for Parents Weekend. I'm supposed to be spending time with my kids, finishing up her first month being away and everything else like that. But it's Saturday. It was football. So all the while I'm walking around in North Carolina A&T gear, walking around campus. My phone is like this with my earpiece in my ear, trying to keep up with everything that was going on. And
Right.
and between Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas Tech, Notre Dame, my God, both of them games, you heard people, you had people that was looking, walking past and looking at the phones like, what happened? Sit up there going it because those two games were pretty much the equivalent of the Ravens Bills last week and the Dallas Giant, the Cowboys Giants game this week. It was, you couldn't stop watching because every time somebody got the ball, somebody did something in order to make it to where the game shifted. But I feel sorry for the kicker for Tennessee. I feel sorry for him because when he went
Yeah.
out there with that chance and they looked at him in his face, and if this would have been a cartoon, you would have seen the teeth chattering and the sweat shooting off his head. He was gonna miss that kick no matter what. There was nothing he could have did. There was nothing. The Lord could have came down and touched him and said, "My son, you will be okay if you just strike it true." He still would have missed it. He was shook. But
That's a lot of pressure.
it's a lot of pressure. But this is the SEC. And the SEC, for all intents and purposes, no matter what anybody says, it goes through Georgia. Everybody has disrespected Georgia for years when Saban was still there and Smart was coming up. It was Smart ain't got it in to beat him. Then they went on that run. Now Tennessee then came up. You then added Texas. You then added Oklahoma. You adding all you got all these blue bloods that's trying to get in there and try to do it. But at the end of the day, it still goes through Georgia. And Tennessee saw that. All that they've done, Tennessee is probably the number 2 right now. I don't think Alabama's in the top 3 or 4 now in the SEC. But with that, I was like, oh yeah, that game was chef's kiss. The Notre Dame Texas Tech game, that game,
A&M.
oh,
A&M.
it was yeah, it was A&M. Shoot, it was A&M. Sorry, that A&M game for A&M to go into Notre Dame at night and do what they did. I'm starting to wonder, and this is funny. I'm starting to wonder how much the loss of Al Golden is affecting that Notre Dame defense
Well, yeah.
because they have not looked anywhere in sync. And it's like what you for where you was to be 0-2 to start out, yeah, it's Notre Dame. Notre Dame could win out the rest of their games and still wiggle their way into the college football playoff. Why they get the special preferential treatment, I don't know. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. But nobody would have thought that they would have been 0-2. And 1-1 definitely, but not 0-2. Because the other two games, I'm gonna ask you about these. One, does what happened to Florida to South Florida get compounded by the fact of how bad Miami just kind of like took them to the woodshed?
Uh,
Because you gotta remember, South Florida won it because Florida's player decided he wanted to spit on somebody and give them that opportunity, and that's how they lost that game. And they controlled Florida in order to get to that point. And then they went to Miami, ranked, had that swagger, and Miami just beat the brakes off of them. That game was not even close.
that was okay. So for me, when you whether it's Miami versus Florida, uh Miami versus Florida State, essentially that is a battle for who is running Florida, essentially. So
Mm-hmm.
so you have to know, like, whether you won your last game or whether you lost your last game, you better be ready when you play any of those, whether it's Florida State or Florida Miami. You better be ready because 9 times out of 10, that other team is going to be ready to knock your head off because they want to spend the next year going, we run we run Florida, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
when the Bengals play Cleveland. It's okay. It's the Battle of Ohio. You
True,
know,
true.
Michigan versus Michigan State. It's the Battle of Michigan. So,
But
so
it
yeah,
just it just seemed because I think it's Florida and Miami this week. I'm checking to see that right now. If it's Florida Miami this week, that's gonna be interesting because that's gonna be a battle for supremacy that I didn't. Well, I say it like this: Napier needs to win to keep his job because there's no way you're gonna keep on. You can't not keep on doing this song and dance, playing around
yep. Seven
with
thirty.
everything. Is it
7:30.
Florida loses that game? I can see Napier getting fired.
Speaking of getting fired, how much longer Dion gonna be a coach in Colorado? There's rumors going around that people are saying he needs to vacate. I don't know how true they are because of where
There
I
was the
was.
trending topic on Saturday was one of the trending topics on X and on Google searches was Deion Sanders buyout.
Yep. Okay. So yeah,
So
yeah.
so not gonna say I told you so, but told you so. For all the PR that Deion generated, the and I'm gonna take it a step. I'm gonna take it another step when I say this. For all the goodwill that he generated in both Jackson State and at Colorado, for all the good things that he's done for them student athletes, from setting up the 529s for the student athletes that are fathers, for emphasizing being respectful and being gentleman as part of his rules and requirements for being a player at both schools and things of that nature. For all the building and making of men that he does in that, I applaud him. But he's not a coach. He's not a good coach. You had one player that won the Heisman Trophy, and that one player that won the Heisman Trophy did not deserve that Heisman Trophy. He won that Heisman Trophy because of his name recognition and who was his coach. He did, and then you thought that your name recognition and your nepotism was going to get your sons into the league. One of them is a third string, the other one is still unemployed. But both of them got picked up by the Toronto Argonauts. So if they want to play in Canada, they can. But a coach, the same argument that I always, the best way I can put it, I always spin it towards Cincinnati teams. The best way I can put it is this. Deion Sanders is almost at the equivalent of Scott Satterfield. The only reason why Deion hasn't gotten the entire evisceration that he's just now starting to get is because it's Deion. If you would have put Scott Satterfield out there in Colorado in that same thing, in that same realm, Scott Satterfield would have been fired by now. It's a mess at quarterback. You brought in a highly touted transfer student and you benched him for your backup from last season, and he played like crap, and you didn't try to make the change. But the first thing that you do is you sit up there and say, sit there and throw the team under the bus. We played like crap. It goes back to the preparation. You can have all these NFL people, all these NFL minds in your team as your assistant coaches and everything else like that. But if they're not communicating what they're supposed to be doing down to those players and for them players that actually to execute on the field.
And I'm pretty sure I've said this to you at least once. Mm-hmm. I believe that what's truly killing them is the recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously I'm not sure. I haven't seen Warren Sapp too much on the analyst from an analyst standpoint. I do remember he did it a couple times, but I don't remember it off the top of my head to figure out like how good he was. Deion, I've listened to him a few times. He's there, but my thing is this: because of his name, are the players buying in because are they fully invested in actually doing a good job, or are they too caught up in the fact that they're playing under Deion that is giving them a bravado that they're taking out there on the field, and that's part of what's getting them mopped. I can imagine Deion's straightforwardness, whether the kids admit it or not. I could see that being a problem. Like what he said after the press conference, during the press conference to the reporter, and the reporter was trying to sugarcoat it, and like you said, he said, "No, we got destroyed out there. Don't sugarcoat it. My mom never sugarcoat nothing with me, so you can be straight up. We just, yeah, it wasn't good." I can imagine the possibility that's not going over well with the locker room because of how many times have we had that conversation. People more worried about, about what was said in terms of their feelings instead of being worried about what was said in terms of what the message is and how true it is and that's what they should be listening to. Doesn't matter whether it's Dion, it doesn't matter whether it's Satterfield, it doesn't matter who it is. It should never matter who it is. At the end of the day, Dion is your boss, Satterfield is your boss. If they're noticing some flaws that you presenting out there on the field and it's keeping y'all from winning, everybody should be putting their head together to
Or to fix the flaws.
fix the flaws and and so that you can become competitive. Because at the end of the day, the stuff that's the lack of winning, the lack of the people put him too high on a pedestal and they thought, oh, Dion's coming here, he's gonna be able to do what he did um
Or Jackson State.
at Jackson State. Jackson State is not the level, even though Colorado hasn't been great in a while. They're Jackson State, and no disrespect to the HBCUs, but the caliber level, is there a possibility that they could play some teams in the big conferences and win games? Yeah,
Yes.
I would need to know the name of the team to know to determine whether or not um how good their chances will be. They will go out and they will try to be competitive, but again, I would need to know the name of the team so that I could tell you whether or not uh how competitive it's going to be and how good their chances are. And I'm not going to do that purely based upon the fact that on a level standpoint, they're not on the same because even Michigan got beat by Appalachian State. Everybody
Right.
is everybody has got beaten. The question is I would need to see what level the in terms of consistency and discipline that the HBCU teams play at on a consistent basis. And then I can look at that and be able to tell you, okay, you got a chance of beating this team, and this team.
And I don't, and I'm not, when he went to Jackson State,
Yeah.
my head was be that person that starts the trend. Be that person to where, especially once he got Travis Hunter to flip and come there, that made me feel good because if you could flip it to where, think about it, Eddie George was getting looked. I think Eddie George coached at a HBCU for a little bit. I think
Still is now.
I think Michael Vick's coaching at one now. You
Yep.
start Ed Reed was at one, and then that was a whole mess. But
And what's his face? Didn't Jackson?
uh
I'm pretty sure he's at one too.
he might be. But all of them start going to him. Be that catalyst to bring the 5-star recruits that normally go to an Alabama, normally go to a Georgia, go to these SEC schools, go to these Big Ten schools, bring them there. That way they can learn about how to play the game from professionals that then played at the highest level and also become a part of the culture with that. Because let's be real, a lot of these blue bloods colleges built their programs off of kids that they went and plucked from the inner city. They went and plucked from the prep schools and everything from there for that. If you can get them to instead of saying, okay, I'm gonna go to Central State instead of Ohio State, and you start getting 4 and 5-star recruits in there, and they become ingrained in that, and you start that trend. Who knows where we're talking 5-10 years from now with all that building? But in the same way that NIL has affected how we look at college sports from the athletes, you took that opportunity when Colorado came and said, "Ooh, I can move all this to Colorado, and I got all of this. Let me go here and go do that. Let me try to do the same thing I did back here, over here, but they don't understand what I'm doing for real. All they see me as is I am a PR dream for this college. That's all they wanted. They wasn't worried about the wins. They was worried about the PR. And because if they was worried about the wins, they would have looked at the track record of he took a whole bunch of students to where the people that he brought with him into that school made them the cream of the crop there. But that cream of the crop there is middle of the road when you come over into division at division bowl series level.
If that.
If that. And what has that
Because
reflected? What has that reflected since then? Middle of the road.
because uh in the conference, when they were in the Pac-12, they went 1-8.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the details, you know me, I don't mind looking at the big picture and putting all the details in the picture. Yeah, they were a complete mess when he showed up,
Yeah.
but we also you can also wonder what would have things been like had he really took a look at everybody. Did he really take a good look at everybody there, or did he catch them being nervous? Did he catch them in his presence? Did trying to do too much maybe? Did he um uh did he potentially have some pieces that he could have kept, and
There
some
you
of the
let
stuff
go.
that he added to
Yep.
um there's always going to be that question,
Mm-hmm.
at least for me. So
And I'm never, besides Scott Satterfield, I'm never, and Brian Kelly, I'm
uh
never a fan of, and Luke Fickle now. Um, I'm never a fan of anybody getting fired.
right,
I never want nobody to lose their job.
right,
But the one problem with a monster that you create is if that monster gets out of your control, you gotta know how to put it down. And this one right here, if Colorado rides this out, Colorado's got a shot of not winning at all this season. And that's not good because you need to bank wins in order to help recruiting. Your name can get you all the people that you want to, but after a while of seeing you being mediocre and bottom of the tier in a bottom Power Five conference, you're not going to get it. It's not going to last. It's not. It can't last. So I don't know, but I got one more before we switch over to the NFL. One more question
right,
for you.
right.
Did I call it about Dabo? Did I call it about Dabo? Didn't I say Georgia Tech was gonna give Dabo some fits? And what did Georgia Tech Grambling Wreck go in there and do? They gave Dabo some fits. And Dabo don't know what to do right now. Because that ship is sinking. That ship is sinking just as bad as Colorado's right now. Because you can't sit there when
Mm.
Georgia Tech now is a favorite with Miami to win the ACC, and they went into your house and just drugged you. They ran it down your throat. It's not. It's bad. I don't even know how. I know we talked about it last week where we were saying, could they buy out Dabo? That was number two trending topic
Yeah,
because Dabo's in danger. He's that meme from The Simpsons with the fire all around him saying, "I'm in danger." That's Dabo right now, and there's nothing. Whew, I did
Okay,
not think that this was gonna be bad.
financially, uh,
I know it's nine figures. I think it's upper 8 to 9 figures in order to buy him out.
yeah, let's see here. It says, at least according to Sporting News, it would be 60 million
Mm-hmm.
and the same amount as in 2024. So, oh, hmm. I I could definitely see I could definitely see Dion getting bought out before him
I can see Dion getting bought out before him. I can't.
because his is exceptionally cheaper.
Yeah. But at the same
So
time, the ACC has been so wide open because Miami's always had their foot. Miami's quintessentially always had their toe in the water for the past couple of years, and then
right,
they always do something to where they fall in, they splash around, and they get back out the water.
yeah.
Other than that, there's nobody else in the ACC, and so it should be a layup for Clemson. Y'all let SMU come in there and almost knock y'all out.
Yeah.
That should have been that. That was crimson warning flag, and now you're at a point to where y'all added Stanford, y'all added Cal. It's not adding anything to it. So you added more bottom feeders, nothing at the cream of the top to challenge you. And I give you this.
All the cream of the crop was already taken. Stupid Big Ten, and SEC.
But but you should be able to own your conference. You can't even own your conference. Georgia
Well,
Tech, let's be real, Georgia Tech that still runs the
now
wishbone.
now the transfer portal we done talked about this. The transfer
Right.
portal and the
But
NIL done changed a lot of things.
right.
So
And that's the other part of it that makes it bad because now you're going to have boosters who are paying those NILs and everything. They're going to sit there and say, if I'm sitting up here and I'm writing you a check, that's my tax write off for $10 million, and you're not using it to go get me players that can beat Georgia Tech, and their NIL is their bank account for their NIL fund is a third of ours. What am I doing with this? Let me sign another 5 million, get 12 of my buddies together, and here we can tell you go away. And we'll get somebody in here that knows how to navigate the NIL and put us back to where we was when you had your quarterbacks, when you had the Trevor Lawrences and everybody that was there that had us up there trying to win national championships versus sitting back here being probably third or fourth in the ACC that is the fourth best Power 5 conference. It's not a good look.
yeah,
It's not a good look.
and um I'm very interested to see how the rest of this college season is going to go for everybody because it's
There's gonna be head
clear that
scratching.
that between the NIL and the transport portal, a lot of the old school dominance and traditions are have changed, and if people don't adapt, they are going to get, ooh, that game's gonna be good. Um, Sorry, I was looking at the Texas Tech versus Utah. They're ranked
Yeah.
16th and 17th. That's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably be out driving, so I'll have it pulled up on the app. So, but Oklahoma, Auburn will be good too. But yeah, so every coach better figure out some way to adapt.
They've got to.
Their GMs better be trying to figure stuff out. Because if the head coach leaves, the general manager can't be that far behind.
No,
Um, yeah.
it,
So
it's gonna be. I
yeah,
never thought college football will get to be where it was the NFL junior. No, let's be real. College football has now become the NFL minor leagues. And the
Yeah,
draft is a call up.
and it's ridiculous because all you did was you made it more complicated than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
And it's messing with a lot of the alma maters for people in power because now it's not about your your alumni base from these power schools. It's about your NIL base. That's why Oregon can sit there. I found it funny. You know I love my Oregon Ducks.
Right.
I found it funny and I laughed when I seen it. Me and my son was their New Jerseys is a tribute to Phil Knight, and I'm like, jerseys is beautiful, but you made a tribute jersey to your biggest NIL contributor and alumnus. Yeah, that's interesting. Is everybody gonna start doing that? Hey, you cut the biggest check. We're gonna make a specially design. You want to design our jersey for this season? If those are the perks that we're gonna get you, where did I sign up? I can make some live UC ones. Let's go. Put an OMS patch on the side of it. You never know. But it's whatever. All
Yeah.
right. Let's get into
The NFL.
my depression.
All right. So last week, I'm not sure how you did. I won 12 games last week. Um,
Mm, let me see here. I was looking at it and then I started crying again because I started thinking about Joe. And then I was like, I gotta get over this. I can't keep on crying about Joe. And then I looked at it again, started crying about Joe again. But like I said before, you can't protect the air. You can only be as good as your protection. And right now, the Bengals protection is like some 5-year-old lifestyles in the wallet.
uh,
Um,
I guess Chase and Higgins and
oh,
Trey are gonna have to figure out how to protect too.
no. This is why, and I told you had to wait. The
Okay.
reason why I said so earlier today when we were talking about the different things, and I said there was two things that I told Dante. I told him one, this actually might be a blessing in disguise. And the first one, the reason why I'm saying it might be a blessing in disguise is that they've gotten so used to something happening to Joe that they somehow managed to pull this out yesterday. And that's with Browning coming in cold, throwing 3 interceptions, and I know it's Jacksonville, but they figured it. They figured it out, and this is the second time in the past 2 weeks that, despite everything that's been going on, they figured it out. This is where your leaders, those people that you sat there all season, we've been clamoring, you gotta resign everybody. You gotta resign everybody in order to make this work. Guess what? Voltron has been, you brought Voltron back, but you just lost the head.
Uh-huh.
Who steps up to become the Black Lion and continue on the path to get there? This is where they're gonna have to step up. And that's why I say it could be a blessing in disguise, because they could have folded, that it could have been a quick, oh shit, here we go again. Every time we think that we got something, it's always something. Could have been that. But you figured it out. Now you've got to, now, and I'm glad that they came out one of the things that I hate when it comes to things like this is a lot of teams will sit there and they'll say, well, we're waiting on a second opinion. We'll do this. We're stretching it out in order to find out what the things was. They came out within 6 hours, said it was turf toe. Within 12 hours, they said that surgery was a consideration. And if they do it, it's 3 months. And then today they came out and said he's having surgery, it's 3 months. Boom, you know what it is. Y'all got 3 months, 12 weeks to either tread water or keep pushing ahead in order to get to where when he comes back, and what his track record has been when he's came back off of injuries, he's came in and did and played better when he started right back out. The only one that he didn't do it was with the knee, because he had to get used to with the knee. The wrist, everybody thought the wrist was going to be an issue. What did he do? He started chucking it once he got comfortable. So if you get to week 14 and y'all still in the playoff hunt, you give him a week to ramp up and then get him in there by week 15 in those last bookend of the games, and you guys shot the playoffs. If you can do that, now your team is galvanized, and now the Black Lion's back. This is going to show is this, and the biggest thing that this is going to show is this is Zach Taylor's job on the line right now. This is it. Because now you got to coach them. You got to get them ready. You can't sit there and say, well, you know, Joe always leads us to victory. Joe. No, Joe's not there. You've got to do it. And if they fall apart, there's nothing you can do to come back from there, because he already answered the questions today during the press conference, and they were like, they already questioning your logic for building the offensive line, and they're questioning your personnel decisions. And you saying it's on me. You came out honestly and said it's on me. If people want to put it on me, it's on me. Okay. So let this team in these 12 games go 4-8. Or 5-7. Let them go. Let them go less than 500 during these games, and you already start out 2-0. That's your job's done.
Okay, let me look at something real quick.
And then the second thing that I said, the second part of it is we went back and forth about the Aaron Rodgers thing. I did not. When I said it in jest, but then when I started thinking about it, I'm scared for Pittsburgh. Because this might be Thomas last year. That defense, Jalen Ramsey is playing to where Jalen Ramsey is showing that he should be considered as a defensive stalwart. But the rest of that, to have track meets in back-to-back games, I'm not used to seeing a Pittsburgh defense where it's a track meet.
Well, see, here's the thing. Age.
Yeah.
Age, injuries, and they haven't, even though they're good at, if they have anybody that is that they've drafted defensively, it's time to put them in whether you want to put them in or not. It's time to work them in whether you want to work them in or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because as good as TJ Watt is, he is starting to look like track.
Yeah.
He's starting to look like I don't care what this thing is over there in Green Bay that he's showing now. Where was that when you were in Dallas?
I think, you know what? In all honesty, I think it was scheme with Dallas. I honestly think because, and this is where that argument always comes into play. When you got somebody the week before the season start, how much can you tell them the playbook? How much do you just sit up there say? How much do you just John Wick
But
it and just sit there and say, well, "Do what you do best,
but
hunt."
the, but that's the thing. The energy that I'm seeing from him. I
Jerry,
I don't remember
the
watching
vampire.
I don't remember watching not one game where that's what he was doing.
But realistically, real honestly, when you watch a Dallas Cowboys game, do you see that type of energy from anybody in Dallas?
Right.
No.
And that's the sad part because everybody looking at it going, Jerry, you screwed up. No, he didn't. He didn't screw up because the energy that he is that you were seeing in Green Bay, I would need to be allowed to financially ensure that my bills are paid so that I can watch every game, every Dallas game the whole time he was there. I don't remember not one game where he was bringing that kind of energy.
But the reason why I'm saying the energy part of it is that remember the Bengals game last season when they weren't listening, they weren't doing what they were supposed to do, and he just went. He was done. He was just sitting on the sideline. He was sitting up there shaking his head when they messed up the play that gave him the first down that ended up leading them for the touchdown that beat
Uh-huh.
him, and he ended up walking off the field before the game was over with. From that,
Yeah.
I have every time the Dallas Cowboys have done something to show that type of energy in there, Jerry has done something to find them. Think about it. When Ezekiel Elliott jumped into the Salvation Army bucket, what happened? Fine. If they do anything that doesn't seem like it's primed and polished or
And
non-charismatic,
and and good for and good for the
and good
brand
for the
of the Dallas
brand,
Cowboys. Yeah.
right? They don't do it. You go to Green Bay. Green Bay has always been. We don't care. Have fun. That's the one place. The craziest thing I always will remember in my head is watching the NFL on NBC, and it was snow all in there, and they scored a touchdown, and you saw everybody in the crowd to start throwing snowballs up in the air when they scored the touchdown. And I was like, that actually looked like that would be fun to go play in.
Yeah.
Dallas is that quintessential. We come in here. We come. Dallas reminds me of the New York Yankees. Prim, you gotta be button up collared. You gotta be professional all the time. You can show a little bit of your character, but not enough to go against the star. And that's how it's been. Think about it. The only people and the people that he let do it were the veterans that showed and had got him championships. That's the only ones he let do it. Michael Irvin, Dion, Charles Haley when he brought him across. He didn't even let his coaches do it. Remember how he tried to censor Parcells?
Well, the I remember him censoring Parcells, but I knew that that wasn't going to work because I knew why he got rid of Jimmy, and
Right.
everybody knew that
Exactly.
everywhere Parcells went, not only was he the coach, but he also was like the
The
GM of
GM.
sorts.
So you
And
can't.
so that was never gonna work, and it got made worse when he wasn't willing to put up with To and his mess with the media trying to feed him
Exactly.
and try to feed into it to the point to where he was snapping out on the media. He specifically asked them to respect his wishes and and talk about the people that were actually participating in practice, and they intentionally went against it. And then you got like your little 15 seconds of fame because you asked the dumb question and he eviscerated you in front of everybody. And and he ended up being out of there because the rest of the players got to the point to where they kind of did to him what they did to Mike Singletary, and he was out. And
Mm-hmm.
they kept To, and it didn't make them any better.
Mm-hmm.
And like Vernon Davis after Harbaugh came in, Marion Barber said, "I think we made a mistake." It's like, well, too late now, genius. He's gone.
Right. And that's why it doesn't I if you're going to if your image is more important than your product, you'll never succeed. And his image is the star and the brainwashing of the star to the fans, to the media, everything else. You have to call a spade when it comes to Dallas. Dallas is always going to be a second to third tier team. We
If
have
if
glimpses,
yeah, if they were willing, if if Jerry could figure out a way to get his goal accomplished without the media, oh, he'd do it.
I
Um,
don't know if he would because he likes the media.
but that's the thing. The only reason he likes the media is because of their reach. If he
No,
could, if
like
I guarantee you, if he could figure out a way to get reach, the reach that he gets with the media
but he has
without
it.
the media,
He has it. You
huh?
have a fan base. He has a fan base that no matter how trash the team is, thinks
Yeah, but
they're going to
yeah,
win.
but that fan base,
It's delusional.
the fan base
And they're functioning
does
delusional.
even the fan base doesn't reach enough.
Right.
Like
So,
it doesn't reach enough. It doesn't build like it doesn't build everything enough. He's a
so
businessman. Unfortunately, he's a businessman at the end of the day, and he's running that situation like his business. That's why, even though they are hardly uh, how hardly worth too much of anything, that's why they're the technically they're the richest team in the league. They're the richest
but
team
this
in the league, but they do, but in terms of winning, they ain't it.
but this is where the question comes into play. Like you said, he's the CEO of the company, right?
Yeah,
Do you see Tim Cook all the time for Apple? Or do you see him whenever they do the announcement of the same product every single year and they say it's new and improved, but it's the exact same thing, but like just this one, it's thin as air. But that's the only time you see him. You don't see him any other time outside of there. You don't see Warren Buffett out there too much with Berkshire Hathaway.
no,
You don't see those CEOs out there. When you honestly give a post game press conference every single game before the coach does, then you have a radio show, and no matter what happens, it's I want the cameras, I want the cameras, I want the cameras, I want the cameras. It's about you and your ego. And your ego has cost you a Jimmy Johnson. It cost you a Bill Parcells. It's cost you the fact of you are now 30 plus years. And I can sit there and say that I think every single team has been to the Super Bowl since then, except for them and the Texans. Since their last one, I want to say that that's the truth.
mm, I'll have to look that up. We'll talk about that next week.
And
Um,
if that's the case, then when does it click in your head? Again, talking about the Bengals, as much as I despise the ground that Mike Brown walks on a daily basis, I don't see Mike that often.
yeah,
So why? That's why that is the quintessential issue with this.
because
He he has
honestly,
to he he's an attention whore.
that's how it all came to be, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
so for him, he's sticking, in his opinion, he's sticking with what works. We talked about it. We're sticking with what works.
right. And the crazy part about it is, and I hate to say it, the craziest part about that whole thing is that until he gets and until he crosses over, which it really doesn't matter if he crosses over because his son is the exact same way. So this
I
ain't about to be a 40 year thing. This might be a 60 or 70 year.
I do want to see if his son will change anything,
No.
because he was the one that was the reason why he basically backed the front office and got T.O. up out of there. But Dion, not Dion, but Jerry loved him so much and wanted to keep him around so much that he made him part owner of the D League football team. But then the full owner got rid of T.O. because he decided to pull a Phil Jackson and he only wanted to play the home games and he wasn't going to see no sick kids. And the not going to see the sick kids is what made the owner say, and you're gone. Um, so and I remember it hilariously. It seemed like for weeks and months after he cut T.O., he just kept saying, I didn't want to let T.O. go. I miss T.O. Okay. All right, Jerry.
It, it's it's
Um,
it's it's crazy. It's crazy when we think about that. It I just
but yeah, looking at the Bengals schedule.
while you're looking at the Bengals schedule, here's the crazy part. Remember what I said? Pittsburgh doesn't. When we were having a conversation about Rodgers with Pittsburgh's defense,
Uh-huh.
the Pittsburgh defense right now is ranked 32nd, 31st, 30th, 29th, 29th in
Uh-huh.
the league. The Bengals, 28,
Yeah.
7, 26, 20, 24th.
Uh-huh. And
Baltimore is 31st in defense.
yeah, I can see that.
And Cleveland's number one.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So when it comes to that, when I'm looking at this, they've given up this season on average 395 yards per game, 490 yards passing, averaging 245 a game. And then they've given up 300 rushing yards, so 150 a game, and 63 points in 2 games. So in 2 games, do you feel like, and this goes to the question, I'm going to put the question up in the group and I'm going to put it up on my social media today. If Aaron Rodgers was still a free agent, didn't sign with anybody, and it's week 2, it's the end of week 2, and you see Joe Burrow goes down, and then you see with Pittsburgh with slot, whatever quarterback you want to put, and what that defense has put out there, and you know what they have as their weapons there for that. Do you still go with Pittsburgh? Because at the end of the day, you going with Pittsburgh with less weapons, and the defense that you would have thought would have been what gave you a crutch to where you could game manage. You would have to put up 7 touchdowns in 2 games. No, 9 touchdowns in 2 games, 10 in order to win. In 2 games. We've never heard of a Pittsburgh defense that was this much of a sieve 2 weeks into the season.
Injuries is age and
Injuries is a
injuries
bitch, but at the same
is
time,
killing them.
right,
But and I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, that's why I told you earlier, it wouldn't matter which one of the two he picked, he screwed either way because he's line dependent. That's
right.
exactly what's screwing the Giants right now. If the Giants had a better, more consistent line, they um I don't know. I feel like because of how the Dallas game went, I feel like the Washington game would have clearly been more competitive. But since on a scale, the in terms of like pressure, being able to get pressure to a quarterback, clearly Washington is at least 2 or 3 steps better than Dallas. That's why this game came out the way it did. But it goes back to my point. If you have a line dependent quarterback, you must. It's not a if you want to. It don't matter how many people you got to cut. You better make sure that your offensive line is addressed. If you do not, I don't care if you got Aaron, I don't care if you got Joe, I don't care if you got Browning, I don't care if you got I don't care if you got Brock Purdy, Joe Flacco, Vinny Testaverde, whoever, you're
It
not gonna do well. It's not
right.
it just that and that's essentially the issue. I mean, look at CJ Stroud. Since his first year, the line has not gotten that much better and doesn't look like it's looking all that great this year.
It's
But
not.
and the thing that I do not like is the fact that the line vacuum sucks gets put on the quarterback. The quarterback and his ability to perform gets blamed for it.
And I get pissy because, like I said, talk about the hometown team and the situation that we got right now with Burrow with the turf talk.
Yeah.
When they interviewed Zach Taylor today, and he sat there and he said, I can't, he said they could have protected him 99% of the time correctly, and that injury still could have happened in that 1%. I get that logic, but in my head, you should not have your quarterback running around in order for him not to be even in that position for that 1% if you did what you were supposed to do in the protection of that line. I'm sorry, as a GM and as an owner, we know for a fact Big Ten schools normally put out great offensive linemen. SEC teams normally put out, if they are a heavily running team, in their linemen are normally better than the ones that have the gimmick style offenses.
Uh-huh.
I can't give it to, well, USC is part of USC is part of Big Ten. Oregon's part of Big Ten now, so I can't say Pac-10. Other than that, it's not too many of them that come out of there. So if you know this for a fact, and you know with any investment, when you buy a house, the first thing you checking is your foundation. When you buy a car, you looking at the structure of the car for what you wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
Why is it so hard to stop looking at? I'm sorry, if it is a free agent that is coming out from an offensive line and the team that he was with doesn't come at you to match the offer, and they were successful the year before, something's wrong. Or they see something, they know something that you don't. And we get so wrapped up in, oh, they're the number one lineman in the free agency. Okay, so how did they make it to free agency? Because
Well,
that means either they cap was stretched somewhere to where they couldn't resign them. But even with that, we've seen teams get creative in order to re-sign the people that were crucial to their team.
well, usually the guys that they pick up, I mean, you have discussed this, whether it be free agency or whether it be drafting, they seem to pick guys that have a history of injury, which I found out is not as bad as I originally thought it was because I actually looked it up because I was talking to somebody about it. and the way they questioned it made me jump into Google and have Google look it up for me. But like Mims is one of the ones that had a history of injury. Why did you draft him? Well,
Because just like with everything under the sun, the same thing, and you'll get kicked out of this. The same thing that they do, the same treatment that they gave Anthony Richardson with the Colts. He's that quintessential prototype quarterback. He has the arm strength, he has the size, he has the mobility, but he doesn't know how to read the offense.
oh God.
You get you get a lineman that has the size and looks like he has the structure to be whatever he needs to be,
but he's
but
injury prone.
he's injury prone. When they drafted him, when we had this conversation last year and we drafted him, I was like, why would you draft somebody that you know is injury prone? And then you get what happens this year with that? You get Lucas Patrick. Lucas Patrick, as a rookie, wins the starting job. What happens the first freaking game of the season? Down with injury on IR. Come on. And then to replace him, think about this metric. You got Dalton Reisner you brought Dalton Reisner in. Reisner had not given up a sack in 2 years. But Minnesota didn't want to bring him back to protect their quarterback that's coming off of an injury. And he was still out there to be signed at the end of the preseason. And that's not a crimson red flag.
Right.
But you bring him in and you sign him. And what happens? As soon as he get in there, I think that streak got ended last week. I mean, got ended, last week. I think I thought one of the highlights that they showed was him just olaying Myles Garrett right into a Joe. So it's like, what are y'all paying attention to that us as pundits are missing? Because we can see, but you can't make that make sense at all with as much as a shit show we call Dallas. I can't call their offensive line a shit show. I can't. And they swap out people left and right.
They're not completely great because they can block for Dak, but they can't block for the run.
Right. But now they've been blocking for the run because Javonte Williams has been killing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, what is it?
And even though it was barely over Dotto before they let him go, he actually did have a 1,000-yard season.
Right. So it's like, what do you do? I don't know. So that's why I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know. But if there's anything, there was a meme. One of the guys that I send you the memes for, the one that does all the impersonations of the players.
Yeah.
There is, he did one today. Next week, there might be upwards to 9 backups playing as the starting quarterbacks in week 3.
Wasn't there a record that they broke last season for the same thing?
Maybe, but for week 3, that is insane. Because I'm about to pull it up. Brand. Search. Brand. Bench warmer brand. Here we go. Yeah, so Jake Browning, Carson Wentz, Tyrod Taylor, Mac Jones, Marcus Mariota. Oh, Carson Wentz is the backup for Carson Wentz is going up against Jake Browning.
Yeah,
So it's five right now, and these are all teams that everybody was banking on to be somewhat successful. Besides the Jets.
I don't know why anybody was banking on the Jets just to be successful. Even if I understand that the OC for the Jets is able to make Fields look like a halfway decent.
No, he made him look like that week one. Week two, I was watching that game. That boy was confused and kerfuffled before he got his bell rung.
which
Buffalo
which
made
which that was the
Buffalo made,
same thing that got shown in uh in the preseason.
and that right there is the reason why I'm terrified of the Pittsburgh Steelers defense because Buffalo made that boy look like a boy. Pittsburgh made him look like they should have kept him as their quarterback,
Right.
and that's not a good look.
And that's what the people were saying, and I was shaking my head because I knew, even though I didn't watch the game, I knew something. You could tell by the score, even though I didn't watch the game, you could tell by the score that something was off.
Mm-hmm.
So uh so yeah, him turning around, just like with the whole the difference between the Giants last week, they had a front seven that basically gave Russell fits, kept him on his back more than anything else, kept him running for his life more than anything else. This
Mm-hmm.
week he had some time. Yeah, they got some pressure on him. He ended up making a mistake that ultimately ended up costing the Giants the game, but they were pretty much in it up to that point. So that proves my point that if you give Russ time, I mean, he went 6-6 in Pittsburgh for a reason. They should have kept Russ and they should have fixed the line. It's turning around
Never,
and getting rid of one veteran just to bring in another veteran. It just
it's never,
that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
it's
And
never lines
they
for.
kind of deserve the karma that they're getting from it.
Mm-hmm.
Um especially the fact that you're not fixing your line. Just like the Giants, the pundits are wanting the Giants to go ahead and stick in Jackson Dart. Why? Your line is crap. Yes, he knows how to scramble, but seeing that they don't know how to
But they put
put
him
him,
in, and he looked. They put him in
he knows
yesterday.
how to scramble, but clearly you're not blocking for the run. That's why you're your quarterback. I would actually love to know what they're doing in terms of the run now that I think about it, in these two games because I don't know why. Just because you have Russ doesn't mean go get pass happy.
Right. And that game yesterday made it to where where they got pass happy because they had to do that in order to keep going up and down the field in order to have a shot. But it shouldn't be where it shouldn't be where you can't. Russ is not going to do that every game. He can't do it
Oh, I
every
mean,
game.
if you give him time, he can. He proved
Right.
it. He proved it when they had a when Pittsburgh had a winning record. The problem was they couldn't keep that up for the whole season. And I wonder what would have happened had they even Denver if Sean Payton had seen the writing on the wall, saw that they won three straight and tried to figure out like yeah, I may not like him, but what did he do to contribute to everything, because whatever he did to contribute to everything that made them look up and go, uh-oh, we got plans of getting rid of him. He's starting to win. We can't let this continue, or else the fans will be like, okay, we like him, keep him. We can't have that because we want to get rid of him. So
And
that's when they came up with that little rules of, hey, you mind taking this pay cut, which they knew he wasn't gonna do. And as soon as he said no to it, they're like, oh, darn, I guess we gotta bench you. It,
it's like it's crazy because now it's this week in the league is going to be a pivot week because now you got teams that you 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 got teams that you shouldn't have questions about that now have very big questions because that wasn't with the Bengals. That wasn't even the only injury that came out of there. Stewart's out,
Yeah, no, I
so
saw
it's
that
like
too.
what the heck? So you got that, you got and you got the questions about KC, which is offensive line driven.
Yeah, that's basically it. And that's another thing I got upset about a little bit today when Cam was on first take talking about some where's the weapons in the past couple of years. It's in the same place where all the weapons the past couple of years have been. That's not the problem. The problem is the offensive line. Why do
Yeah,
I say that? Because the two times that they lost the Super Bowl, what was the problem? The offensive line.
yep.
Didn't matter what the
And they
weapons
supposedly have
was.
retooled that offensive line, and it's not working.
No, yeah. That at the
It's
end of, yeah.
it's
It's
nuts. It's definitely about to be nuts with that one. That game kind of slowed down. Set 14-10 at half for Tampa Bay and Houston.
yeah, both the defenses went into shutdown mode. I
Yeah, they
got
was
it.
like, hold up, we ain't about to do this. Hold on.
Yeah,
All
because it was Tampa Bay scored, then I mean Houston scored, then Tampa Bay scored, then it looked like Houston was about to go down and get another touchdown, and it turned into a field goal, and then they did some play trickery and with Ibuka and
Abuka threw a touchdown pass.
no, they did some trick plays with him, and he that's how they got up to 14.
No,
They better not use him too. They better not use him too much. I know that. Don't. I get that he's a weapon, but don't use him to death. They was using him on end arounds and throwing him in.
that's
Use Bucky Irvin. You got Bucky Irvin. You better use that dude.
right. I don't know what's going on with
I'm
that
I'm
thought
I'm
process.
I'm sick and tired of watching these teams that's got running game and all y'all want to do is just pass, 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 pass. My quarterback.
Pass. All I know is pass. That's all they do. That's all they ever know. They want to just get the ball out and want to make it a throw and go league instead of just doing what they need to do and just rack up the wins and the points.
And you know both the defenses when it comes to getting to the quarterbacks is being all types of problems for both of them. So other than Philly, I think Philly is still the only team that has any semblance of a line that is that is doing great because I don't trust the whole situation with the Lions in Chicago. I need to see that on a consistent
Oh
basis.
hell no! Nah. I wouldn't
That
trust that. Wouldn't trust that with for the life of me.
well. I mean, I trust it a little bit because as much as Chicago got issues on defense, they got a front seven. So the
Yeah.
fact that that game got that out of hand, 52-14, that means that whatever issues that they must have somewhat addressed the issues because Jared was throwing and they must have
Yeah.
addressed those issues like Dan Campbell said that they were going to do. Dan Campbell said that they was going to address them, and 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 they must have addressed them. Now, obviously, I need to see that against Green Bay. Obviously, I need to when they play them again, I need to see that against some of the tougher defenses. I believe they play Philly, don't they?
Who? Well,
The
checking.
Lions.
Ooh, no. Lions.
They play KC. Okay, close enough. That
No. Lions got the Ravens. Week 3. That's Monday. That's next Monday night. Lions and Ravens.
That's gonna be a great game on paper. Um, I definitely, obviously I'm gonna be home, but uh,
That's scary because here's the reason why. Here's the reason why that's scary. Baltimore's defense has not been good against the pass. And one of the things that was shocking to me yesterday, Derrick Henry might have lost their faith in Derrick Henry.
so which they've been known to do, but I'm telling you, if they do that for the long haul of the season,
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be
it,
bad for him
yeah,
because
because Lamar is not I as talented as he is, and I respect him, but no, don't.
it's nah. I agree. I agree totally. But after he fumbled yesterday, they didn't give him the ball back,
That's what they do. Every
and that
time
is
he fumbles,
stupid.
they do not give him the ball back.
And that is stupid because that right there. You supposed to if he's supposed to be your back that's carrying you to the promised land, you need to tell him you need to hold that ball high and tight and stop being loose with it. But you still feed him that rock because there was too many games. That Buffalo game showed you how feast and famine it is. He could either break through the hole and be gone, or he'll fumble the ball. And that game, he fumbled it once, but he had how many breakaway runs for 30 something plus yards?
That's that's because they weren't getting to him in the backfield,
Backfield, no.
which everybody knows. They've known it since the Titans. If you can get in the backfield and get to him, don't be worrying about tackling him. Just hold him up and you got to do it like hyenas. You got to you stay in front of him as best you can. Hold him up. Don't let his legs get to churning, and then let your buddies come in and get him. And that's how you have that's how you have to do it. And um in order, it uh I'm sorry, it's looking like this is about to be an interesting season
This is about to
because
be a very interesting season.
Even Philly with Saquon, their line ain't the same.
No, I didn't
And
expect. I didn't expect for Saquon to go back up, and because now they're going to key towards Saquon. The defenses are going to start keying toward him. I expected for it to be a little bit more balanced, and it has been in
at
some way, shape, or form.
at
But
the end of the day, it's Saquon. They're
yeah,
trying they're trying to. I will say this: the offensive coordinator, I don't care what he tells me, he is trying to cater to AJ. The problem is the defenses that they've been playing, unless you sit down with him and you work on changing up some of his routes like they did in the Super Bowl, like they did during the regular season to get him more touches,
mm-hmm.
you're not going to be able to get him the ball to the level that he's going to be happy. You keep sending him deep only. You keep sending Devontae deep only. You got to switch up some of them routes.
Yeah, yeah, you're
and
gonna
and
have to.
and he could do it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear this stuff. If he could do it last season when he got pissed off, and he could do it the season before when he got pissed off,
Ooh.
then he can do it now. It's just sitting down and talking to him, and then getting in practice, figuring out what he's best at. Whichever ones he's best at, do those the most, and whichever ones that he really needs to work on, whichever ones that he really needs to work on, to have him work on those in practice and do those the least.
Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at looking at the schedule for next week.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
this is going to be next week. Like I said, it's going to be a transition week because there's a lot of teams that have matchups that they should win if it would have been their starting quarterback. It ain't their starting quarterback. So it's scary now. So I'm writing them out so a way I can make sure I keep a log of the picks
Okay.
with this one. All right. So first game is Thursday night, Miami and Buffalo.
I got I got Buffalo.
Yep, Buffalo here. So that's definite. Bengals versus Vikings. And they're
Skipped a couple games, didn't you?
huh?
Skipped a couple of games, didn't you?
No. Bengals and Vikings is 1 p.m.
Oh,
on Sunday.
oh, okay. My bad. They got them in a different order on ESPN. So
Okay.
so we was on the same page until you said Bengals Vikings. I'm like, wait a
It
minute.
probably got it because the Bengals is one of the teams I get all the updates from.
Gotcha. Is okay.
Minnesota's two and a
So
half point favorite at
ooh,
home.
ooh,
But is Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning.
ooh. You know what? I hate to say it, but just I've been watching Minnesota's defense the past couple of weeks. I know it's Carson Wentz. I know he hasn't been successful. He hasn't been that successful as a starter, but I feel like if they lean on George Mason like they should have this past week, because at the end of the day, that was the difference between their loss, their win on week one, and their loss. They, I don't. There was times where they were throwing it like there was a 3rd and 1. You got George Mason. He had hit every. You only needed 1 yard. He hit every single one the whole entire night. Why you turned around? Because you're so desperate to get McCarthy going. Why you threw like a 30-yard trying to get the touchdown and all you needed was 1 yard? God, that pissed me off. And they were only down like 9-6 at that point.
Yeah,
They
I just
they still had the capability to win that game. That pissed me off so bad. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Minnesota because weapons wise, defense wise, and weapons wise, and their line actually oh God, because I forgot because their center went out, and that's when McCarthy really started having problems. But their run game was still able to be good, especially when they were running with Mason. Aaron Jones is more of a speedy receiver. He can't do the grind thing like Mason can. So as much as I hate to say it, I think he done lost his starting spot. But but uh but yeah, it's a slim margin. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Minnesota on this one. I won't be surprised if the Bengals win, but yeah, I'm leaning toward more toward Minnesota on this one.
I just for me, backups breed familiarity.
Uh-huh.
And knowing that this is Wentz's first year as the backup, I want to say I don't think he was there last season.
No, he wasn't. He was
Yeah.
with Kansas City last year.
So with Wentz, this is his first year being the backup for it versus Jake being in year 3 of being the backup for it. I'm gonna go with the person that knows the scheme and they don't have to change as much for. I just want my biggest fear is that Jake has got to stop just chucking shit downfield. A lot of those interceptions was passes to where he shouldn't have threw it.
Yeah,
And if that's the case, then yeah, he needs to stop that in order to get that done.
Students right here.
yeah, but yeah, I get why he does it because it's like a lot of these quarterbacks, like most of the quarterbacks, it's like it's like you 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 basically get to the point to where you put pressure on yourself to make a play because you understand that it's a long day at the office and the line just
Hmm.
ain't getting it done. So you start pressing. And that was the word I was looking for. But so yeah, it's gonna be, and I'm sure Wentz is probably gonna do the same thing. And it's gonna be interesting. If
Yeah, it's gonna be
Wentz
an interesting
starts
game.
having success,
I
McCarthy
don't,
comes back. Do you let him get the spot back, seeing that he wasn't doing all that great? I personally, and this is just being real, he still had some growing to do and some understanding to do, which I know he would learn it better if he was in, but at the same time, I don't like him being blamed because they went 14-2 last year. That ain't got nothing to do with McCarthy. The line ain't the same. The line didn't
right.
start off the same as they did last year. Yeah, they allowed pressure. They didn't allow that much pressure. That's how they were able to get to 14-2. That is totally not that line compared to last year. I did watch a couple of the games. Including when it got toward the end of the season and they ended up having to play they ended up having to play the Lions in Green Bay, and the offensive line was crap. They basically did what Pittsburgh did, only in less games.
True.
Because week
Yeah,
17, they barely
that
squeaked
is
it out,
definitely true.
but the offensive line was looking like crap. And then when they played the Lions, they just they just it was ugly. And it's like Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, Stafford, Russ, these guys need a line. If you want Stroud to be more passer and less scrambler, he needs more of a line. Um, you know, Jackson Dart, you want to throw him in there, you better make sure that line is addressed first. Period. It just because at the end of the day, the best winning quarterbacks that scramble are pass first. They are quarterbacks. They are the
Yeah,
definition of a quarterback with the ability to scramble. That's what you want. Oh, the WWE is forgiving Drake. Um, they let him have a song for the
what?
WrestlePalooza. They let him have you know how during the
Okay.
pay-per-view that they'll pick a theme song. Apparently his song
Yeah.
Nokia is
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
be the
Nokia.
song. Yeah, that's gonna be the song
Oh
representing
God.
WrestlePalooza this weekend. I'll have to listen to it and check it out. I haven't listened to
It's
Drake
all
in a
right.
while. But
It's all right. So we split on that one. That's the first one we split on. So
okay.
that's a head to head. All right, next one. Pittsburgh against New England.
Uh huh. You know what? I'm gonna go against my team because right now I think they got so many new people that they're trying to figure it out. And I do think that with the shape of their line, that TJ is going to be able to spend a lot of time in the backfield. So I'm gonna go with Pitt.
I'm going with your team. I think New England at home. I just like I said, listening to that game yesterday with Pittsburgh, I don't
If
have to faith.
if they if if New England would have won this week, I would have been going with them. But they clearly showed the difference in the weeks. It's like they won week one and they lost week two. I get that Pittsburgh kind of crap the bed, but that also to me also shows that if they if they play a team with an offensive line that can keep them at bay more than they allow them to get in the backfield, Pittsburgh can completely lose. And right now, that's not New England. And that's my team. You know me, that's my team. It's like that's my team, but I call a spade a spade. I actually this is my competitive side coming out. I want to win. I
Right. Right.
want
I
to
feel
win.
you.
I want to win. I want to win. I done got spoiled the past 2 weeks. I didn't had more wins than losses. Especially this week. This week I went to town. But um, so my competitive side is coming out. So I'm keeping it real. That just no, I did not like what happened last week. They should have improved upon what happened instead of regressing, which shows that if they play stiffer competition, it's going to be a long bad day at the office. So
Hmm.
and me keeping it real, that means that line wise they're about the same, which means that in terms of experience defensively, who has the most experience, that would be Pittsburgh. So Mike Tomlin's finally
All
gonna
right.
get him a win against the Pats. Who else we got?
All right. Indianapolis. I said Indiana. Indianapolis versus Tennessee. Indianapolis.
Yeah, yeah. I am intrigued by the game. Part of me would love to be home to watch that game to see how that's gonna play out. Because while I do get that I was right about Daniel Jones, and if you put a good line that will allow him to be a quarterback, he will actually perform. Who knew?
Right.
At the same time, I am interested to see how Tennessee if they evolve according to everything that's been going on these past 2 weeks. Uh, um, I feel bad for Cam Ward that he went there because they're kind of in a rebuild and a figure it out. So yeah. So
Yeah. All
I
right.
got Indy too.
Okay. All
Who
right.
else we
Houston
got?
versus Jacksonville. You know what? Jacksonville showed me some stuff in that game yesterday.
This is going to be an interesting game because obviously it's a division rivalry game.
Right.
Uh, damn, damn. Ah, you know, I said it at the beginning of the season, and this is gonna be another one of the prove me wrong situations. I'm gonna go with Houston.
All right. So we got another head to head. That's three.
Okay.
All right. Atlanta versus Carolina.
All right. Atlanta versus Carolina. Yeah, I'm going with Atlanta. Yeah.
All right. That's
Yeah, especially after what I saw from them, I did see some flaws that they need to definitely work on and improve. Um, especially understanding that they got a young quarterback, so Robinson, the offense should run through him. They were smart enough to do that last night, where
yeah,
Minnesota
they
wasn't,
were.
and that was a huge part of why they beat Minnesota last night because the Minnesota front seven is not they're not they're not
No.
horrible. They are a problem. So and their secondary is not phenomenal, but they ain't no slackers either. They
Yeah.
that was a real good game until Minnesota just refused to stick with the run game.
All right. Game of the week. Rams versus Philadelphia.
Ooh, the rematch of the NFC playoffs last year. Okay.
Without the snow.
Right. Right. Without snow. Mm. Mm. Ah. Mm. Obviously, That D line is not what it was
Mm-mm.
last year when they took on the Rams. Hmm, crap. You know, I, this is a toss-up game. Definitely a because the Phillies defense is still clearly trying to find itself and not
Yeah.
exactly the best not exactly the best time to be trying to find yourself when you got to definitely be sure of yourself when you're facing Stafford. I don't care what they say. Um, but everything goes through Philly until somebody proves otherwise. So I'm gonna go with Philly.
All right, we together on that one. I can't. I just until you beat the man, I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah. As and especially with the biggest thing that has me there is that the two leaders, the two the two guys that basically are considered the nucleus of the offense, they're both on the same page.
Yep, and that's the biggest part of it. To where
Saquon ain't worried about getting no yards and breaking no records. He wants to
uh-uh.
make sure that they win. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. As long as they keep that mindset, I think that's going to end up getting Brown moved. Um, which is going to be interesting to see who tries to pick him up because there's a bunch of people that could use him. Um, Seattle could use him, but not as much as I thought after listening to that game because I forgot they have some receivers, but they do need a clear number one. But they got some receivers, and
Oh yeah, they
it
got
took me
receivers.
it took me listening to the game and listening to some of the people that was being thrown to. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he was over there.
Yeah, Smith and Jigba and Cooper Cup is up there now.
I'm talking about the people that was already there. It's like Cooper Cup. They need a they need a younger Speedy.
Yeah,
So if he's gonna go anywhere, if AJ Brown were to go anywhere, he needs to either go to the Chargers, he needs to go to
he
Seattle,
ain't leaving. He's
huh?
not. He's not leaving. AJ Brown's not leaving.
He may not have a choice.
They're not.
If he keeps on keeping on with what he with if he starts up with the antics again, he may not there may not be a choice in the matter. And you know,
The
I wouldn't tempt the GM. Don't tempt the GM.
oh no, no, no,
It
no. I would never.
is
I would.
that's why I'm saying like we got to remember they figure out what they got and they keep from having to pay people early. So they don't mind moving people and I could see them um I could see them just moving off of him via their choice.
Yeah, yeah. I think
It'll be unfortunate, but I'm telling you,
if they does, he's stupid. He's stupid. If it's self before team, then you need to go anyway.
he's
And
already said it. He said during the offseason he tried to see it from a just win aspect. He said he couldn't do it.
then if that's the case, then yeah, I don't have no issue with it.
And
I can't condone that. I want a Super Bowl. Shut the fuck up and play.
right, and I um
But that's that quintessential wide receiver diva mentality. That's why. That's why when you find the ones that don't have that diva mentality, that's team oriented, you need to do whatever you need to in order to keep them. And if that means that Devonta Smith moves over to be the number one and they figure out what they do or get something back in return, so be it. I don't want it to be that way. He's on both of my fantasy teams. I love AJ as a player, but I just want a chip. And I beat the GOATs of the era to get a chip. I want to play.
Yeah. But this has been going on for years, and part of it is the mindset that has been instilled in the players and certain players that is a part of their quote unquote their swag, their confidence. That's why I said I have come to I still don't agree with it, but I've learned that there needs to be some respect put on it and some understanding put on it, even if I don't agree. So,
All right, let's run through the rest of these real quick because I'm getting phone calls from home, basically saying it's time to get my butt there.
okay.
Um, all right, so Jets versus Bucks.
Jets, Bucks, my Bucks.
Yep, got that together. Vegas versus Washington.
Ooh, ooh, that one's spicy. Mm.
Mariota is the quarterback.
For
Washington.
ooh,
Daniels is hurt.
ooh, ooh, mm, wow. I don't know why I got a feeling I'm getting ready to get burned on this. I'll go with the Raiders.
You and me both.
Um, huh?
You and me both. I don't trust Mariota as a quarterback.
I,
I
I I
don't.
I got a feeling I'm getting ready to get burned on this because of who the coordinator is. To my knowledge, Mariota has never had a coordinator the level of um, Kingsbury. So
But
I got a feeling I got a really bad feeling I'm about to get burned on this. But
I don't think so. I think that might be Vegas's win on that one. That was one of them things that we said in the beginning. Washington goes as Jaden Daniels goes. If Jaden Daniels gets hurt and he's got an ankle injury too, and you know that can linger, that's not a good look.
yeah,
Green, Green Bay versus Cleveland.
Packers.
Denver versus the Chargers in LA.
Denver has not started off too well. They played a lot of defenses that have given them hell. And the Chargers are feeling themselves because they beat the Chiefs. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers
Yep,
to
yeah, you both on that one.
officially put their stamp down and
That's
prove Cowherd right that they are going to be the ones to win the division this year. So
New Orleans and Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah. Arizona versus San Fran. Mac Jones is still QB.
Mm. Mm. Ah, you know what? That defense always gives Kyler fits. They're one of the two teams that gives Kyler fits that makes people stop talking about Kyler. So I am going to go with San Fran.
Upset. I got Arizona.
Okay.
So that's fourth head to head.
Yeah.
Dallas versus Chicago.
Mm.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
that's what I said. This is a pivotal.
This one is not. I only have like a little, like on a 100% scale. I'm 80% sure about this pick. Uh, I'm gonna go with Dallas.
I'm with Dallas too.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I think I feel sorry for the Chicago defense. Because they're gonna spend a lot of time on the field, and that's ultimately to me what's gonna help Dallas win. Because teams that the defense spends more time on the field than the offense, you're just you're not gonna win.
Yeah.
So you might win a game or two, but you ain't winning more than that.
All right, KC and the Giants.
Mm, wow. Uh, both have offensive line issues, but there's only one Chris Jones, Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs there. And then the last one, Detroit versus Baltimore.
Wow. Wow. Mm. You do understand that no matter who you pick, you're capable of being burnt on this game, right?
Yeah, but again, I am of the ilk of here. I am a byproduct of what you've shown me. And in the AFC North, the two scariest defenses that I've grown up being around don't scare me.
Yeah. And
And,
oh,
and
you know
that's
what?
where the rub comes in. I How many times have you ever thought of you would say Dallas, not Dallas, Pittsburgh and Baltimore have to win in shootouts. We went into this season saying their defense was going to get them to where their offense would just win games. This right now,
Uh,
I'm not scared of them. And with that being said, I gotta take Detroit. Detroit right now, if Detroit runs the ball, and we've already seen Cook Baltimore's defense. If Sonic and Knuckles get running, and that secondary is already not that secondary is not the
and
best.
and then worse, and then the worst part of that, not only getting the run game going, but if you can't keep Jared Goff uncomfortable, like I've always said about him, about Stafford, about Russ, I don't care who it is. If you can't keep them uncomfortable and they have the confidence to put that to put the ball wherever they want to go with it, which they still have their weapons, and my only drawback is Baltimore ain't Chicago. Baltimore is not Chicago. That's the only reason I'm not. I'm saying Lions, but uh,
The only way that Baltimore wins that game is that Derrick Henry cannot be an afterthought. He has to be priority one to get running and control the
and
clock and
and the
control
front seven has to be disciplined and not leave
exactly.
open holes in the middle. Don't worry about being the one defensive guy to tackle Lamar. Keep him at bay until
There.
boys get around him
Mm-hmm.
and keep him running backwards. If he runs 20 yards backwards, he can't throw 20 yards forwards. Just just keep him in front of you, whatever you do.
Just keep them at bay. So I'm taking Detroit. You're taking.
Detroit.
All right. So we both there. All right. So we got four head-to-heads: Bengals and Vikings, Pittsburgh and New England, Houston and Jacksonville, and Arizona and San Francisco.
And just to give everybody a update, we will me and you will talk offline and
Mhm.
figure out what your picks for week one were. I know what my picks for week one were. We'll see if we had any head to heads and bring it all together. That way we figure out what our total record is and what our head to heads are. Um, Thanks for playing this with me. By the way, it's been
Oh, ain't
years.
no, hey, shoot. I sat there. I still haven't gotten a chance to. I wanted to do a full run through on Madden to see what they had predicted it out. And I wanted to do it, and then I moved my creative player from Oregon over there. And yeah, Bengals are Super Bowl champs, and I'm MVP and offensive player of the year and rookie of the year. And I broke Dickerson's rushing record. So yeah, I had a fun time playing that game. Oh, you want to hear the irony on that one? The end off the show. Guess who I played in the Super Bowl?
Who
The Dallas Cowboys with this year's squad.
and the
They were the
sad
seventh. They were the seventh seed in the NFC and made it to the Super Bowl.
and the sad part is if if the secondary could get it together.
They could do it.
Yeah, because they actually have a running game, like you said.
Yeah.
Everybody trashed the guys that they picked up, but basically what you're seeing, Jerry is loving this because you could say whatever you want about Micah and what he's doing over in Green Bay, but if you honestly watched the Dallas games, Dallas does not look bad.
No, they
It-
don't. They easily could be 2-0. They just went up
right,
against they went up against the defending champs. They easily could be definitely 2-0. That's why I'm like, I'm not mad at them. I didn't expect that shootout last night, but
but
hey,
but
I loved it.
but what we just talked about to quote, who was it? There was a rapper that part of the chorus of a song went, "You can't tell me nothing."
Oh yeah,
And
that's Jesus.
that's that's swimming. I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry came out in a toga and part of it said, "You can't tell me nothing."
Mhm.
Just
And I wouldn't be surprised at all with it.
you know,
I can't be mad at that. I really can't because it's not I, the worst thing that can happen for Jerry is they make it to the playoffs and they meet Green Bay. And Micah just goes ape. Because if he does that, then it's gonna be it's every site's gonna be like, oh, you was right. Oh, you was right. Oh, you was right.
I'm sure he gonna have Stephen A on speed dial. What was that you said?
Right.
Like put me on speaker. Put me on speaker with the rest of your pundits. Molly, what was that you said? Cam, what was that you
Mhm.
said? You start calling people up at first things first. Like, yeah, all right, let's hear it. Y'all talk
Yep.
bad about me.
You
Now
go sit
what?
there and start talking about it, and it'll just be a complete mess.
Like so from now on, whenever I want y'all to talk about me, y'all just gonna shut up and like it. Now get off my phone. I can see him doing
I
it.
can see him doing it too. That's why I'm just like, All right.
All
On
right.
that note, everybody, I want to say just real quick, thank you guys for this. I am running on like 3 hours worth of sleep. I'm not even gonna lie. When I messaged Dante earlier today, I was like, dude, we got an hour, and because I'm like legitimately doing everything I can. This is like caffeine number 4 for me today.
Oh, yeah.
Shout,
Hurry up and
shout,
get home. You need to
right.
sleep that
Shout
off
shout out
fast.
to Coca-Cola for that. But I did I but like always, we get rolling and we did 2.5 hours.
Yeah, like because I'm gonna be honest, we kept talking, but I was expecting to see a message come across my phone like, bro, we need to end this.
And I just and because it becomes second nature. And this, when you do something that you love, it comes out to where it flows out of there, and it just goes. I'm here at the school. I've got co-workers that's coming up and knocking on the door into the studio like, "Hey, we out." I'm like, "Damn, what time is it?" And then I look, I'm like, "How did it go?" And then the missus is messaging like, I thought you were." I'm okay. Because this is what we do. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. This is like, I'm going to get some rest. I definitely
Yeah,
going to get some rest today.
yeah.
But let you close it out there, sir.
Oh yeah. So yeah, naturally it's Dante Suave and it's Mr. J and this is United World Sports once again coming together for another great week of sports talk. We will see you guys next week.
See
Peace.
you guys later.